All right, welcome back to the Outback Endzone podcast. Today we're going to go through all the week's divisional round matchups ahead of a huge weekend of football, as well as touch on the New York Giants signing head coach John Harbaugh. But before we jump into that, Adam, bit of an update, mate, on our road to the Super Bowl quest.
Yeah, it's been crazy. The support and traction it's grown over the last 30 days is insane. Like, it was a complete pipe dream when me and you started talking about it 30 days ago, and the doors that it's opened in the last 30 days has been great. So it's exciting. We're going. Maybe
Mate,
not to the Super Bowl, but
we're going to Santa Clara. We're locked in, aren't we?
we're gonna make the move. We've had some really good discussions with people like Jack Settleman and Joe Thomas, and then even a few other guys that have sort of given us support, and we think we just got to be there and shoot our shot. It's been a grind, but we're gonna go over there. We're gonna see what happens and see where it takes us. So it's pretty exciting.
We were just saying before, best case scenario, we're at the Super Bowl and we watch them. Worst case, we're at a pub in Santa Clara and we're still watching the Super Bowl. So let's just give it a crack, eh?
Yeah, exactly right. I could think of worse places to watch the Super Bowl than in Santa Clara when the Super Bowl's there.
Yeah, it could be in Ballarat, mate. It could be much worse.
And go on to work the next day.
Oh, mate, grim. Reminding me of the last 5 Super Bowls. All right, mate. Well, yeah, in big news, obviously John Harbaugh, he's signed to the Giants. Mate, what are your thoughts on this big move?
Yeah, I think it's massive news, and I've probably come into the off season thinking how important it was going to be for the Browns to get a really established head coach, and the Giants have probably got the guy I was most hoping the Browns would get, John Harbaugh. I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I think it's a massive signing for the Giants, and I'm picking the Giants to make the playoffs next year. That's how big I think a move of
Wow.
this is.
Playoffs.
He's a winner. His regular season record, 180 to 113. 12 playoff appearances, a Super Bowl victory with Joe Flacco. He's always been a winner, and that's something the Giants haven't had for so long. Since Eli, stability, the Giants' head coaching has just been a revolving door the last decade. One bloke in, one bloke out sort of operation. So they've backed John Harbaugh, and they will stick with him through thick and thin, I believe, because, well, we all know he's a really good coach. The ability to adapt and develop different styles of quarterbacks is, I think, a massive thing. He's coached both a real pocket sort of statue quarterback in Joe Flacco, and now most recently the dual threat Lamar Jackson. So he can tailor his schemes to the personnel, and I think he'll have a massive impact on Jackson Dart, who showed flashes this year, and I believe he probably can be the future of the Giants at the quarterback position. But having a really good coach with, I think, the payroll he was talking about signing his the rest of his coaching roster was going to be huge, so that'll be important too. Lastly, I think the credibility, an adult in the room with such a young up-and-coming team who hasn't been successful, I think is huge. It also signals ambition to the players, the fans, the free agents, that they are serious and they want to make the playoffs. So I think the Giants play the playoffs next year. I'm pretty confident in it too. I think it's them and the Cowboys nearly that are the 2 teams that will be fighting over it. So what do you reckon?
Mate, I think it's huge. I don't know if it gets the Giants to the playoffs next year, but I think it is going to have a huge impact on this whole organization from the top to the bottom. I think just like his professionalism, he's going to sort of drive into that building. I heard on the news, apparently, when Harbaugh, he went to interview with the Giants, Jackson Dart was actually in the meeting, which sort of says to me he probably wanted to get a feel for like what Jackson's like. And I really don't think he wouldn't have taken that job unless he saw a winner in Jackson Dart. So, look, I can't agree with you to say that I think they're going to be in the playoffs next year, but I can see a future where in 2-3 years' time, Giants are back to being what they were in like the Eli Manning days and a genuine sort of threat.
Yeah, happy to disagree. It's a good start to the pod.
100%. We'll jump into some of our NFL picks for this huge weekend of playoff football. Looking back to last week, I think I did all right. I was 4 out of 6 last week. How about yourself?
I was 5 out of 6, and the people were 5 out of 6 as well. So the O2E community we're on the board, and I only dropped the Packers, who I didn't really believe in with their injuries, but I tipped them to make the Super Bowl in the preseason. So that was my reason for sticking fat with the Packers. But yeah, got to be happy with 5 and 6, 5 out of 6.
Mate, wasn't that just disappointing as well? Mate, you can make the argument that the Packers should have won that game if Brandon McManus had have shown up because, yeah, that was pretty awful and you'd be very frustrated if you were a fan. But, yeah, I tend to agree. I think they might have been the frauds going into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, you can't drop a lead that they had. Poor coaching, poor kicking. Yeah. Anyway, they're gone.
That's it, mate. They're out of the picture. Okay, so jumping into some of our picks from this weekend, mate, this huge weekend of football. We've got the Bills and the Broncos to kick it off. Bills are favoured by -1.5. Look, the way I see it, Denver have had the top defense all year. They've got the second best run defense. I just don't believe in that Denver offense, and it's nothing against Bo Nix. I think he's a great player, but the sort of subpar receivers, like none of them, no one really sort of stands out to me. If Troy Franklin's been one of your best receivers all year, I just don't think you have a great wide receiver room. And I just think it's Josh Allen's time to shine. Like I was listening to the Snap Count Society boys pod last night. Absolute shout outs to them. Great pod. Great bunch of blokes. They were sort of saying, the head says to go with Denver, and I tend to agree with that, but the heart says just back Josh Allen in his time to shine. Look, we all know that Bills offense can score, and their defense has been surprisingly good this year. Like, there's been a few people that are sort of calling them like a top 5 defense. I don't know if I agree with that far, but I can't. They definitely don't have a shit defense, that's for sure. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I agree. The Bills were my pre-playoff Super Bowl pick. Yeah, I'm riding the Josh Allen train and hoping that he can get a Super Bowl for Buffalo. Bills Mafia I can't wait. I've got to get there one day. They seem like they are just off their head. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to, the Bills. As we jump into the second game, the Seahawks versus the Niners. Seahawks -6.5. The big news, though, today coming out of Seattle was Sam Darnold's got an oblique injury. He didn't practice today, so he's now questionable. He is expected to play. I'm leaning towards the Seahawks, but all bets are off if Darnold doesn't play for me.
Who's their backup?
I think it's Drew Luck.
Okay. So no
Lock,
one.
Drew Lock.
May as well have you in there for backup needed. Look, in saying that, I don't care who's playing quarterback for the Seahawks next week. And honestly, it could be you. I think the Seahawks are still going to win because that defense, mate, it honestly reminds me of the Seahawks of old. Like across the board, they're just unbelievable. They are stacked on defense. And I just can't see the 49ers. Like, I went against them last week. I know they've incredible offense and everything else, but I just can't see them overcoming that Seahawks defense, especially if you're throwing that George Kittle's out as well. I just can't see that 49ers offense overcoming them.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, well, we both agree on that. As we head to the Patriots versus the Texans, Patriots -3.5. I reckon this is one of the harder picks for the week. This one and the next one, probably the two hardest for me. The Texans' defense is stout. As I called last week versus the Steelers, when their defense scored more than the Steelers' offense did, they can just ruin games. And I think they've 1 or 2 in defense this year. They're elite. That's why they've won so many games in a row. But the Patriots' D-line ruined the game against the Chargers last week. So they'll get pressure on CJ Stroud, I have no doubt. Stroud showed last week you get pressure on him, he will turn the ball over. They'll get a few extra possessions, the Patriots, and Drake May will get the job done.
Mate, this one's pretty simple for me. I'm not picking a division rival of the Colts. I hate the Texans. There's nothing against them, but just hate them. So that's Pats for me, mate. I'll be getting right around the Pats and I'll be picking the Pats.
Very good. 3 from 3, eh?
There we go. When are we going to disagree? All right, final matchup. Bears versus Rams. Rams are -4.5. Oh, geez, I hate to say this because every bit of me wants to say, "Oh, I think the Bears are going to win this," but I've got to stick true to my guns. I said Rams were my pre-playoff Super Bowl pick. For me to be right, I think it just had to be Russ last week because Panthers, they really gave him a good shake, which it's got a lot of fans worried. It's got me sort of a little bit tentative to say the Rams this week, but going to stick fat with my guns, mate. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, look, I think the Rams, I think it was rust, and I agree that the Rams will bounce back and Stafford will ball and Devontae will get going another week back from the hamstring. But I'm jumping all aboard the Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson train and Da Bears, and I'm bearing down and thinking that the Bears will get the win today. Last week's was incredible. Caleb has elite talent. There's no doubt about that. And I just love a good underdog story. And Da Bears are back, and I'm rolling with Da Bears.
Mate, honestly, I'd love to see it. I hope they get up. I hope I'm wrong, but I just think the Rams will be too good. They'll be too good. All right, well, that wraps us up, mate. So we only had one disagreement this time. That's always good, and that was at the Bears versus Rams. So we'll see who strolls out this weekend. I've got to catch up. I'm a couple behind you, so I can't even catch you this week. But better start making the round. And if you're in the OT community, make sure you're jumping on those stories. Put your picks in, so we can share that around and see if we can go even better than last week. Hey, see if we can go 4 for 4 this week.
100. Let's see how the people go and how me and you go.
Rightio, so that wraps us all up for today. Obviously, if you've been following our Super Bowl journey that Adam's been leading, definitely jump on the Instagram there, comment, tag as many people. Tag the Cleveland Browns, tag NFL Australia, tag the NFL. We've committed. We're paying the money up front to get over to Santa Clara, and we're going with no tickets. So we need all the help we can get to make sure we get those Super Bowl tickets so we're not watching at the pub in Santa Clara.
Let us know if you know a travel agent that wants to link us up and help us out too.
We appreciate all the love as always. Jump on, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It really helps us out.